All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Mac and PC users, people who curse in front of children as often as I do, good evening and welcome to the annual Choozle Holiday Party Roast. I'll be your hoster and roaster, Mel Werthmann. I've never met Betty White, I just play her on TV. For those of you who don't know me, I envy you as I have never had the opportunity to meet myself. I like to pretend I'm from the decent city of Boston, which has a ton of Ben Franklin impersonators, as well as recently recreational marijuana. I am a big fan of one of those things. I know it may seem to a lot of you like I am objectively irresponsible. I hear the whispers. There goes Mel. She doesn't contribute to her 401k. There goes Mel. She's not current on her vaccines. There goes Mel. She once put her iPhone in a pot full of rice, not because the phone was damaged, but because the rice was too watery. Yeah, I seem real irresponsible until you fuckers need somebody to watch your dog. You're welcome. I do enjoy it. Those of you who know me also know how much I love coffee. In fact, I'm usually pretty much an asshole before I get my coffee in the morning. And even after that, I'm still mostly an asshole. But I was thinking recently how screwed up it is to be a jerk to people before you get a drink. You know, that would be like Morgan being a jerk to people before she's had her Diet Coke. Or Megan Sullivan being a jerk to people before she's had her kombucha. Imagine. Speaking of Morgan, she's your classic girl next door from some small town in North or South Dakota. I was going to go over to her desk tonight before the roast to clarify which state she's actually from, but then I remembered that literally nothing has ever mattered less. Hannah Middleton is here. My God, she never shuts up. Totally kidding. Hannah is literally one of the nicest, most intriguing person I've ever met, definitely this year. She might be a bit too nice though. When asked what salsa would she be, Hannah softly whispered, extra mild. Erin is here. As the ancient Hawaiians used to say, the coconut is always sweetest on the tree you can't reach. And as Erin always says, Mel, you look like something I designed with my left hand. Kendra is here. Kendra is what I like to call a demotivational speaker. Yeah, because she spends most of her day telling me that I can't do things. Mike B is here. Yeah, Mike B. Gosh, he knows a lot of things. I have a secret fan theory that Mike B is actually former President FDR. Not only because that would make him 135 years old, which seems about right, but also because if you don't think Mike B has polio, you're not paying attention. Travis is here! Yeah! Travis is everyone's favorite uncle from Kansas. Yeah. Boy, does he put the sass in Kansas. Just last week, in true Kansas fashion, Travis was out at a bar and wanted a glass of water, so he asked the bartender for a glass of boneless ice. Cone is here. Cone manages to be both simultaneously super focused and super kind. Like if you were about to die, he might be able to save you, but realistically, he can only defeat people who are equal to or less than as physically powerful as Oprah. He could totally take Stedman though. Gail, not so much. Brent is here. Brent is here. Sometimes Brent, he seems Seems like he's even judging himself. Brent is the kind of guy who will not only look down on you for going to a shitty restaurant like IHOP, but then also insist that you refer to it as the International House of Pancakes. Chris is here. Yeah, if you know Chris, you know he has quite the obsession with Willow. Yeah. Things have gotten a little bit out of hand recently, though, if you ask me, since he decided to set a trap next to his desk, luring Willow with all of her favorite things. Those favorite things, of course, include queso from Illegal Pete's, a selfie stick, and a handful of the best crack rocks our alley has to offer. Dave is here, and yeah. And whether you want to admit it or not, at least half of you just thought to yourselves, who the fuck is Dave? Michael Fisher is here. I think it's pretty obvious that Michael was the weird brother growing up. Based on the lack of things to do in the Midwest, along with Michael's own general deviance, I imagine he did some weird shit. Like, I don't know, cutting off the thumbs of his enemies. Who has 2 thumbs and hates Michael Fisher? Nobody. Cut off all their fucking thumbs. Kirk is here! Yeah, we all know he's been looking for love. And the good news, he's found quite a bit of success with online dating. The bad news is that most of that success has come from Ancestry.com. I suggested he change up his online bio, so he added the tagline, "I'm not bald, I'm just taller than my hair." Brandon is here! Brandon is a conversation piece. He also looks like the kind of guy who loves subtitles. In reality, he knows nothing about movie or pop culture, really. Just last week, I had to explain that no, Forrest Gump was not a documentary. Speaking of which, it seems like for the past couple of weeks, we have, as a nation, have been kind of rocking back and forth and softly murmuring to ourselves, please God, not Tom Hanks. And while these are certainly dark times, I do think that the news pouring out of Hollywood might be a sign that maybe, brick by brick, we're beginning to topple male-dominated positions of power and corporate systems devoted to looking the other way. I just wish all of this had started to happen while Mr. Ed was still alive. Nay means nay. Lonnie is here. When it comes to being a hipster, Lonnie somehow manages to look like he's trying even harder than Hunter. Before we all know it, Lonnie will actually have a little mini hipster on his hands. Yeah, congrats. I guess it's only fair that now we do a second round of applause for everyone else in the room who has also had sex. Yay! Jaeger is here. Jaeger offered Lonnie some of his best parenting advice to prep him for dad life. And by that, I mean he told Lonnie to line the crib with newspaper, attach a hamster water bottle to the side, and fill it with simple syrup. Ryan is here. Ryan loves a good analogy. The problem, however, is that his analogies are instead bad. Like the time Ryan acknowledged with a potential client that bringing media buying in-house can definitely be scary. He said it's kind of like when you're on vacation in another city and Jeopardy comes on at 7 p.m. instead of 7:30. Sometimes even his shittiest analogies still miraculously work, however, like when he told Jenny on their first date, Jenny, your laugh is so deep and genuine, kind of like the sound a dog makes right before it's about to throw up. Ashley is here. Ashley is here, and boy, is she getting sick of the cost of living in Manhattan. To save save some money, Ashley has been buying most of her wardrobe at the Build-A-Bear factory. And even recently resorted to panhandling outside of the WeWork with a sign that says, "Every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes." AJ is here. We all know AJ fucking killed it as Jon Snow this year for Halloween. In reality, I think AJ might be a bit more like Tyrion Lannister. Not only because a Lannister always pays his debts, and AJ hates overdoing voices, but also because you can't spell pimp without imp. Yeah. And for those of you who don't watch Game of Thrones, we get it, you were popular in college. Hannah Hoopler is here. Hannah, of course, wants nothing more than to make AJ proud, so she's been coming up with some new ideas on how to make the finance process a little bit smoother. Some of her ideas have been less than exciting, however, like when she suggested that moving forward, we only accept payments of Kohl's cash. Katie is here. Yeah. This is fun for me because none of you have any idea which Katie I'm talking about. Julie is here. And if you're thinking to yourself, where do I know her from? It's likely because back in New York, Julie was a member of an elite squad of detectives who investigated vicious felonies that were considered especially heinous. That's right. Yeah. Julie appeared on an episode of Law & Order SVU. Which is why, when she and Danny got married this summer, they sent out invites saying, "This is our story, dun dun." Kristen is back. Yes, all of you know Kristen was off gallivanting within the pond, or whatever it is they say. It was fun at first until Kristen started showing up to her one-on-ones with Rachel, all powder-faced in a colonial wig, shouting about how her client meetings have been positively mental. She, of course, accomplished a great deal over in the UK, though. I mean, not only did she survive working alongside Austin, but she is also single-handedly responsible for Instagram imposing a character limit on captions. Yeah. Megan Dyer is here. I walk a fine line between trying to get Megan Dyer to get fucked up with me while also trying to respect who she is as a person. Like the time I tried to get her to drink an entire Four Loko. She, of course, wouldn't down the whole thing, so we compromised on a plan that enabled her to take a sip a day over a 5-year period, which when we adjusted from... See, Megan Dyer is so innocent, I tried to make a Four Loko joke, and she tricked me into talking about interest rates. Sam is here! Sam is great because he's this giant, hairy, manly man who kills animals with his bare hands, and yet he will still totally and completely crumble in front of Rachel. Yeah, Sam is so terrified. It's like that scene from The Revenant, you know? And Rachel is the bear. And Rachel is also Leonardo DiCaprio. And Sam is one of the small saplings that gets crushed in the bathroom. Ellen is here. Ellen is here, and she's not psycho. Ellen is great because her voice sounds exactly like a Fleetwood Mac song. You guys might have heard how Ellen keeps the door to her Capitol apartment open. I guess that actually would have been weird if all of you knew that, but anyway, she keeps her door and her window open, and the same cat has been crawling into Ellen's apartment for the last couple of months. The two of them are now tangled in a fierce legal battle, with the cat insisting that Ellen pack up her things and move out right now. Speaking of feral creatures, Carrie is here. Carrie has taught me so many things since she started back in May. Like the fact that the 80s sitcom ALF stands for Alien Life Form. And that is the only thing that she has taught. Jess and Rachel are here. Sometimes I have a hard time deciding which one of you I love more, mostly because I love each one of you so little to begin with. Rachel is always giving people the worst advice, like last week when she told me to, and I quote, be yourself. And then there's Jess, who, come on, she's basically perfect. She's an absolute beauty queen. She's from Boulder. She's in her 20s. And when you start putting these pieces together, it seems to me like we might have finally found John Benet Ramsey. Jess is also pregnant. Yeah. I was shopping around for some children's books for the twins when I noticed that a lot of the classics have been given a modern twist, like Charlotte's Web of Lies, a story about the GOP tax bill and the middle class. The new version still features a talking pig. Thank you. That was for you, Michael Fisher. Amanda is here. In the words of her high school guidance counselor, if Amanda were a candle, she would be unscented. I'm kidding. Amanda is literally such a powerful, driven woman. It's like, as soon as she walks through the door, you can hear Shania Twain say, "Let's go, girls." Yeah, no, Amanda has paved the way for an entire new wave of female developers. Yeah. And thank God, because if we didn't start hiring some chicks soon, she threatened to take her next company headshot dressed like a character from The Handmaid's Tale. Under his eye. Please be. John is here. Yeah. If you know John, you know he likes to clap. John is a true tech geek, so he has a lot of gadgets, like his water bottle that blinks when it's time to take a drink, or his seat that beeps when it's time to stretch his legs, or his wife who yells at him for spending money on the dumbest shit. Jeff is here. Jeff is hands down one of the most complex creatures I've ever met. But he's a kick-ass leader because he's always honest, straightforward, and gives us nothing but the truth. With clients, however, Jeff has a tendency to overpromise a bit. Like last quarter when he was in a meeting with Dunkin' Donuts and told them that we have the technology to programmatically slap Starbucks cups out of people's hands for an additional CPM. Andrew is here. Yeah. Andrew is fun because he doesn't really play the CEO card very often, but when it does, it works. Or when he does, it works. Like the time he came out of his office and demanded that we start ordering walnuts. If Andrew wants walnuts, Andrew gets walnuts. If Mel wants a company laser tag event, Mel also gets walnuts. I mean, there has to have been plenty of times in his career where he's thought to himself, damn, I've made it. And one of those times has to have been that since the very first day he insisted on walnuts, we have never once ran out of them. Still, we're on the same first bag, but whatever. It works. Andrew is literally perfect in every way, so much so that it's almost hard to roast him. He's an incredible leader, obviously insanely hardworking, and just so much fucking fun to be around. I mean, honestly, the only thing I can hold against him is back when we had a chili cook-off and Andrew made it a point to mention to all the millennials at the company that there wouldn't be any participation trophies. And I think we can all agree that the best thing about the generation before millennials is how fucking original they are. Yeah. Can I just get a quick show of hands? Who here falls into the millennial age bracket? Yeah, you can be honest. Perfect. So, based on my previous calculations, it's about 87% of the company, which looks like it might be winning, to me, the popular vote has always carried more value, so. I'm the perfect millennial. I still do dumb shit. Like a couple months ago when it started to get cold and I had a mouse living in my kitchen, so I bought some of those old snap traps and some peanut butter. Except for 3 months I'd been setting the trap wrong, which means I had just been feeding a mouse peanut butter. Which also means that I felt extra bad when I finally said it the right way. And it's kind of weird about mouse traps that you can either like feed a mouse or you can instantly kill them. Like imagine if that happened to us, you know, like welcome to Applebee's. We're running a special today where we're either gonna give you a ton of free food or we're gonna kill you. I guess that literally has happened at Chipotle though, so. Anyway, of course Andrew and Jeff love us, so on behalf of millennials everywhere, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. And I think as a millennial, I'm pretty good at giving people the benefit of the doubt since I've had to do it about 62 million times in the past year. See, every 4 years, we as a nation get the chance to come together and draw a picture of what the future of our country will look like. Only last year, it's as if 62 million people picked this giant orange crayon out of the big art box of life. Well, a crayon that looks orange at first glance, but when you try to draw with it, you realize it's actually void of any color or morals. And since we are so obviously speaking of presidents, I'd like to end with a question that I have repeatedly asked a lot of you over the past couple of years. The question is, if you could replace the faces of Mount Rushmore with any 4 new people, who would you choose? And actually, unfortunately, all of you guys have gotten this question wrong, as there's really only 4 people to whom we owe our entire success as a company, which is why there will be a 2018 ballot question to replace the faces of Mount Rushmore with none other than Rachel Fisher, Tracy, Jamie, and Andrea. Praise be.